All right, welcome everyone. It is 1 o'clock and it is time to start our September 23rd Middlesex County Council meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. I believe everyone is present. You'll notice that at the council chambers looks a little different today around the horseshoe. We've displayed dozens of submissions for Middlesex County 225 anniversary coloring contest. A big thank you to everyone who participated. It's wonderful to see the creativity and talent from across the county on display. I also want to remind everyone that applications are now open for our Warden for a Day contest. This is a great opportunity for high school students who have great big ideas for their community. 3 winners will get a chance to experience a day in the life of a Middlesex County Warden. Just so you know, I didn't vote on whether that would happen or not. And attend council on November 4th, 2025. So I think it is a great opportunity for a young person to come in and see the council, see what it's like happening. Also, in light of our 225 years, I'd like to share another important piece of Middlesex County's history. And this is one that our CAO is going to love. Did you know that back in 1945, the county took a bold step to protect the environment by establishing county forests? We purchased low-grade farmland and began planting pine and spruce, turning what was once wasteland into green spaces we know today.
We acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples, who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nation communities of this area include Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames First Nation, and Munsee Delaware Nation. We acknowledge the treaties that are specific to this area: Treaty 2 McKee Purchase, Treaty 3 Between the Lakes Purchase, Treaty 6 London Township Purchase, Treaty 21 Longwoods Purchase, and Treaty 29 Huron Tract Purchase. We value these significant contributions, both in the past and the present, of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island. We acknowledge historic and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect.
Thank you, Marcy. At this time, provision for pecuniary interest. If you have any, please forward it through to the clerk. Approval of the agenda. We do have an amendment for the agenda, I believe, and it is going to be posted. Any questions on that? If not, we need approval for the agenda with that amendment. Councillor Mayhew, Councillor Smyber, second. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The adoption of the minutes and recommendations to the Committee of the Whole. Minutes of the September 9th, 2025 meeting of Middlesex Council. Also the closed session minutes of September 9th of Middlesex Council. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor DeVete. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have no new business. Action items. The first one is 5A1, County Road Assumption Bylaw. Oh, Chris is online. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. This is essentially just a bit of a housekeeping item for council's approval. In order for us to assume the roads that were identified in the County Road and Bridge Assumption Study that was previously approved by County Council, we have to pass a bylaw to designate those 3 roads as part of the county road system. And that's essentially what is being proposed by this report. You can see it's just going to add those 3 roads as listed on page 2. That's Park House Drive from Glendon to Adelaide Road, Cobble Hills Road from Thorndale Road down to Dundas Street, and Whalen Line from Grant Line to Highway 7. That's all there is to the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from council on this report? No questions? We do have a recommendation to receive it for information. Moved by Councillor Smyber, seconded by Councillor Burkott-Jessen. All in favor? That is carried. Thanks, Chris. Inquiries? Seeing none. Notices of motion? Councillor comments? Seeing none. Committee of the Whole to convene at 105. Moved by Councillor Mayhew, seconded by Councillor Clark. All in favor? That is carried. Our first item is delegations, and that's from Hydro One, the Longwood to Lakeshore project update. And if you can come forward, that'd be great. And we have Josh and Nandu coming to do this report. I'm not even going to try your last names. Welcome, gentlemen. Whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. So I'm Josh Vandazandi, and I'm here today with Nandu Gopalakrishnan from our project delivery team. We want to give you an update on the Longwood to Lakeshore project, which is one of several projects underway in the region. I want to say thank you to Rebecca, Marcy, Chris, and Dirk for getting us all lined up to be here, and for particularly to Chris and Dirk for their guidance as we've kind of moved through the stages of this project. I'll be brief and then welcome any questions that you have. So in May of this year, Hydro One announced, you can go to the first slide if you could. Thank you. The Longwood to Lakeshore transmission line project, and it's, as I mentioned, one of several projects underway in the region. I'll talk a little bit about all of them in a minute, but today I'd like to talk about the need for the Longwood to Lakeshore project and how we have moved through the environmental assessment to evaluate route options and then work with affected landowners along the preferred route. We'd also like to talk just a little bit about one property that's owned by the county that is affected by the preferred route, and then give you a look ahead as to what comes next on this project. So as you know, communities across Southwest Ontario are growing, and just like you, this Hydro One wants to plan for that growth. So we're ready to support and enable it in a way that protects the environment and existing communities. According to the Independent Electricity System Operator, demand across the province is expected to increase by 75% in the next 25 years. In the Southwest alone, the IESO anticipates demand to quadruple by 2035. To meet this need, Hydro One will continue to invest in the transmission system. And actually, Rebecca, if you don't mind going back one slide, thank you. So I'll just talk about the other lines in the region. So you can see the purple line that runs from Lambton, our Lambton station, near Sarnia, down into Chatham. So that was our first project. It recently went into service, and we recently started construction. Oh, I'm sorry. That's our second one. It's harder to see from here than I thought. So our first project was Chatham to Lakeshore, which is the yellow line running west out of our Chatham switching station. The second project, which just went into construction, is from Lambton down into Chatham. And then the third and fourth lines that we'll be building in the region are the project we're going to talk about today, Longwood TS to Lakeshore TS. And before we leave this side, I'll just highlight the fifth line, which is, as you can see, running from Windsor into Lakeshore. So those five are really the network of increasing transmission capacity in the region. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So in February 2024, we commenced Class EA for the project. You're likely familiar with this process, but we follow the steps of it pretty rigorously over the last year and a half, and just really benefited from a lot of consultation and engagement, both with Indigenous communities, municipal officials and agencies, interested persons, as well as lots of different stakeholder organizations. So through that process, we consider and evaluate alternatives, including routes for the proposed project, and do an assessment of the existing environment and ways to mitigate potential effects before decisions are made to proceed with a proposed project. We're now approaching the end, as you can see, of that process, and have just released our draft environmental study report. Before we get to that, I'd like to share some details of what we learned and how we will be mitigating the effects of the project. Next slide. So our evaluation of the routes carefully weighed route alternatives based on how they performed in 4 categories: natural environment, socioeconomic environment, indigenous culture, values and land use, and technical feasibility and cost considerations. Next slide, please. As you can see, the evaluation process led us to Route 3B, which is shown on the map. Fairly high level of detail because it's almost 120 kilometers long, but you can see it runs north of Chatham and through a big chunk of southwest Middlesex. It begins at our Longwood station in Strathroy-Caradoc. We chose this route because it maximizes the use of existing transmission corridors, including approximately 25 kilometers of idle corridor. It's the shortest line length overall, which means it's lower material costs and less land impacted. It's the least impact on residential properties, has the least potential disruption to species at risk and their habitats, and the lowest impact to surface water resources. Next slide. So this is the results from our evaluation. You can see Route 3B there has more overall advantages than the other route alternatives, and that's the reason we've selected it as our preferred route. I'll also highlight that it really balances the 4 categories best. So it scored the best, although somewhat narrowly, in all 4 of the categories. Finding a location for transmission infrastructure is never an easy process, and we're grateful to all the members of the communities you represent, including farmers and property owners, who have been sharing feedback and questions with us over the years. I'd also like to thank Mayors Mayhew and Grantham, as well as Dirk and Chris, as I mentioned, several staff from their teams who've worked with us throughout the development phase of this project. Their input and advice has been just incredible throughout the whole process. Next slide. Now, as we move through the harvest season, we are continuing to work with all landowners along the preferred route to collect information specific to properties and seek voluntary property agreements. We'll give property owners choice in how they want to convey property rights to us and use independent valuation to make offers that are fair. It's important to note, although we will acquire the rights to a right-of-way for each line, which restrict any buildings for safety reasons, most farming activities can continue under the lines. Property owners will be reimbursed for project-related matters such as out-of-production cropland before, during, and after construction, and will take measures to minimize erosion and dust and restore temporary access roads and work areas after construction. Next slide, please. There's one particular property I want to highlight today. As I mentioned, it's county-owned. It's 2282 Knapdale Drive in southwest Middlesex. It will be crossed, as you can see, by the preferred route shown there in the 2 purple lines. This property is forested, and tall trees within the 110-meter corridor will need to be removed in order to create a safe path for the new transmission line. However, we do recognize the importance of maintaining natural areas, and that's why Hydro One will fund habitat creation and enhancement projects through a biodiversity initiative to offset net habitat loss from the new transmission line. Next slide. Hopefully that gives you a good sense of our recent progress. The timeline here shows next steps towards starting construction of Line 1 in 2027 and the target in-service date of 2030. As I mentioned, our draft environmental study report is available for public comment until October 15. After that, we'll be reviewing feedback and addressing it in a final version of the report, which we expect to release early next year. In addition to the environmental approvals, we'll be seeking approval from the Ontario Energy Board to move forward with construction of the project. Next slide. We'll continue working with local residents, affected property owners, Indigenous communities, municipalities, counties, and interest groups as we plan the project. And now, Nandu and I are happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, sir. Questions from council. Councillor Clark.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. I just have a question. You mentioned that you're going to be implementing biodiversity initiatives, and do you have Where are things at with that? Has that been made public, or is that available for review, or are you still working on it?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So not yet. We can certainly, we'll be in touch with municipalities and counties. What we usually do is a call for proposals after before we go into construction, but a little bit later in the process. So I would imagine that will happen in the next year or so.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Mayhew.
Thank you, Warden. Josh, thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it very much. Southwest Middlesex is heavily involved in this. The transmission line takes up almost the entirety as the crow flies right across. It runs, of course, between two rivers, the Sydenham and the Thames, almost right down the middle. And those watersheds, we use both of those. But Josh, I want to commend you on the work that you've done in this. It's a very large project, and there's no question were some people in our community that had apprehensions on the idea of that going through. But you handled it in such a way that those concerns have been addressed. We appreciated you coming to the Glencoe Agricultural Building and to the Eckford Community Center to host those open houses where questions like that are concerned, and I know you went from farm to farm. We must remember that there's an insatiable appetite for hydro, as you indicated, a 75% increase over a couple of decades. And the agricultural sector is the ones who carry the burden of this project, and the urban areas benefit from it. And that is always a concern. Agriculture is our biggest industry, but I feel the agricultural sector and the council at large in Southwest Middlesex felt a social responsibility that we know that hydro is required for people to live a sound and healthy, just life. And so sacrifices are made. And I think that must be stated, that even though this transmission line has been selected, the property owners are in agreement with it. They're in agreement because they feel an obligation to put better infrastructure in for southwestern Ontario at large. But again, I want to thank you for your outreach. It was just absolutely terrific. Josh is always recognizable in a crowd. He's 6'7", and we can pick him out anywhere. But we won't forget you after this project is done, Josh. And we do hope that there'll be some benefits to the municipalities that this is going through. It's important, particularly in an election year coming up. Thank you, Warden, very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? No other questions from council? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for your presentation. We do need a motion to accept this report for information. Councillor Grantham, Councillor DeVete, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Our next delegation is the London Middlesex Local Immigration Partnership Community Plan and Newcomer Survey, and Tristan Johnson is doing this presentation, and I believe you're online with us, Tristan?
I am. Hello.
All right, whenever you're ready, sir.
Sure. It's okay if okay, there we go. All right. So first of all, good afternoon, members of the council. Thank you for an opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Tristan Johnson, and I'm the communications officer for the London and Middlesex Local Immigration Partnership, or LMLIP. For over 15 years, we've worked with community partners like you to build a more welcoming and inclusive region for everyone. And so today I'm going to be sharing some key findings from two major surveys of newcomers we conducted this year, focusing on unique experiences of those living right here in Middlesex County. Next slide, please. To better understand the newcomer experience, we surveyed 512 permanent and temporary residents. These are people who chose to build their lives here, arriving between 6 months and 9 years ago. The respondents are highly diverse, primarily from South Asia, East Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. They're also highly educated. For instance, over 60% of permanent residents hold a post-secondary degree or diploma. This data gives us a powerful, direct look into the successes and challenges newcomers face in our communities. Next slide, please. The two most critical factors for successful settlement are a good job and a safe home. And our data shows that these are also two of the biggest challenges. For employment, the number one barrier is the Canadian experience paradox. You can't get a job without it, and you can't get it without a job. On housing, the challenge is also clear. Cost. High rental costs were the top barrier cited by both permanent and temporary residents. Unaffordable housing is one of the top reasons newcomers say that they would leave Middlesex County. Addressing these economic foundations is one of the most important factors that we need to take into for increasing retention. Next slide, please. Now, I want to turn to specific experiences of newcomers in Middlesex County's municipalities, which show some remarkable strengths compared to the city. Permanent residents living in the county are more likely to be homeowners, the higher household incomes, or have higher household incomes, know their neighbors, and feel a stronger sense of belonging to Canada. We see a similar pattern with temporary residents. Those in the county report higher job satisfaction and a stronger sense of belonging to their local community. This tells us that the communities in Middlesex County are offering an environment where newcomers can establish strong roots and achieve economic stability. This is a fantastic success story that we should all be proud of. Next slide, please. Alongside with these strengths, the data points to clear opportunities. While newcomers may be doing better economically in the county, they face greater social hurdles. Temporary residents in Middlesex, for example, reported feeling more isolated and experiencing significantly higher rates of discrimination than those in London. Furthermore, accessing support services is still a challenge. Residents here are more likely to be impacted by a lack of local services, limited hours, and transportation difficulties. This tells us that our work in building a welcoming community is not just about anti-racism initiatives, but also about ensuring that infrastructure of support is accessible to everyone, no matter where they live. Next slide, please. This research is more than just an academic exercise, too. It directly informs our action. The LM-LIP has launched our new 3-year community plan, developed in consultation with over 200 community members. Our priorities directly address the challenges identified in these surveys, and we're focused on making a more welcoming community to tackle the discrimination newcomers are facing. We're working to improve integration and well-being by better coordinating services to address those access gaps. And central to all of this is strengthening our community partnerships. We're committed to continuing our close collaboration with Middlesex County, sharing data, aligning our planning activities, and supporting your efforts to make every township and municipality a place where newcomers are settled and, more than that, truly thrive. Next slide, please. So thank you very much for your time and partnership. This data shows that Middlesex County is a place of great opportunity for newcomers, and by working together, we can address the challenges and build an even more prosperous and welcoming community for everybody. I'd be happy to answer some questions you might have.
Thank you, Tristan. Questions, comments from council? Councillor DeVete and then Councillor Mayhew.
Thank you, Warden, through you to Tristan. Thanks for the presentation. I have a lot of questions, but I guess one of the first ones I wanted to ask was about, are you doing this survey at different points in time? Because the people are, some of the people have been here 9 years, and we see trends that I think relate to our community in Middlesex County. There's a greater sense of satisfaction and belonging and this kind of thing. So has that been changing over time? Is it unique to our geography? Is it like, how do we who's our closest comparator? Are they rural counties that are like us, or is this? I'm wondering, how do we explain that satisfaction and the degree of sort of happiness with being around or being part of this survey?
Sure. Well, thank you. So they term like the 6 months to 9 years gap for sure. For the first of all, the data collection was primarily done over a period of a few months at the end of 2024 and in the beginning of 2025, and the 6 months to 9 years like quality was basically like an eligibility criteria for those taking the survey. And I'll be like, I'm not one of the researchers on the paper, so I can't really speak to like changes over time or comparisons, but just like I just at the moment have a kind of a snapshot of where things are at the moment.
Okay, thank you. I know there's a lot of layers to this, so I appreciate you addressing that, and I can probably follow up offline.
Sure, I'm happy to also put you in touch with people like the people who did like the number crunching and who can speak more to those kinds of things.
Super, thanks, kindly appreciate it.
Right, thank you. Councillor Mayhew?
Thank you, Warden. Thank you for the presentation. It's interesting when one participates in a Canada Day, you look out in the people in the crowd while you're handing out Canadian flags, and skin color is changing in our communities, and that's a great benefit to our area. Those events that we host are well attended by newcomers from Asia, from Europe, and other countries. What I find is one of their biggest concerns is having a family doctor, a family physician, and I'm concerned about that in Middlesex County. That would be my first question. Do you address that in your survey? It's an important part of family life to have a physician. The second question, if you could, is Ukrainian war refugees. I find I feel at times they've been hung out to dry. They have come to our country as a safe sanctuary. They are here longer than they expected. This war seems to be continuing, and that too is a concern I have of newcomers to Middlesex County from Ukraine. Are they being welcomed as a refugee and not just another newcomer? Could you address those two questions, the medical and the Ukrainian issue?
Well, to go specifically to the study, I'm sorry, I'm like a little, my voice is a little gone, but I guess I don't know if that was part of the survey questions, but it is something that the LM-LIP has been working to address barriers towards finding, towards medical. We have several sub-councils, one of our sub-councils being a designated health and well-being sub-council, and we have we've tried to make the resources available to help with making those connections and to have to help newcomers get, or at least get themselves on the path to finding a doctor, which of course is a process for everybody. And to get to your second question, we do work with plenty of refugees, and we have worked with the local Ukrainian association here in London, but there are some we are facilitating programs done by the government for when it comes to for refugees coming from Ukraine. There are specific policies, but we don't have at this moment a specific, we have lots of refugees who are amongst the volunteers of the LM-LIP, and we do help refugees with resources, but I don't know if we have anything very specific just to Ukrainian refugees. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Just before I go to Councillor, I would ask our Director of Human Services, Joe, if you would speak to that.
Perfect. Thanks, Warden, and through Warden to Council. And just to add to what Tristan has mentioned, I sit on the LM-LIP Central Council as well, so part of this information, we are trying to make sure that we are meeting the needs of Middlesex County residents. So for family doctors specifically, we are working with the Middlesex London Ontario Health Team, the primary care team there, to really try to increase access to primary care throughout Middlesex County. So it's not specific to newcomers, but it is something that we recognize across the board that is needed, that we do lack some of the the primary care within Middlesex County. So just wanted to mention that that is being addressed in other fashions, not necessarily directly linked to newcomers, but that is a great point. We will make sure we consider that. When it comes to Ukrainian families, through the Ontario Works program, we can support individuals that are new to Canada through the Ukrainian. It's called Canada Ukrainian. And I can't remember the rest of the acronym. I'm sorry, we work in a lot of acronyms, but there is some funding that is available for any Ukrainian families that do need support when they first come to Canada. After that, it is that we try to help find employment or other services and supports to help, bridge that transition to Middlesex County.
All right, thank you, Joe. Councillor Burkhart-Jessen, and then Councillor Smiber.
Okay, thank you, Warden. Thank you very much for the report, Tristan. Certainly lots of great information there. My question has to do with the integration and well-being part of what you shared with us. You highlighted that as much as there's a lot of positives that we're hearing from newcomers that are making Middlesex County their home, there is a concern with social connections, but you've also said that with that, there's obviously opportunity within the county. How is it, and I know that you've just, gotten the results and you're just digesting them, so I don't suspect that you've, got any firm plans. But I guess what is the approach for the integration and well-being what you've highlighted with integration and well-being to ensure that our communities can support these newcomers in our communities? And I guess I'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, that's actually like one of the really like interesting results of the study. The idea that that people in Middlesex did actually report like a deeper connection with the community, but also reported higher levels of discrimination. And that was what made that unique, was that like it shows that integration is not so much like just avoiding discrimination, but also actively participating in like integration and building. And one of the really, really great projects that we're in progress of doing right now to help with building the idea that like immigrants and newcomers are part of our community, and they build and they make the community a better place to be in. And we are currently taking in applications for the I Am Middlesex campaign, which is like a social media campaign that highlights and profiles positive stories of immigrants who came to Middlesex County and moved into their various townships or municipalities and made it their home and have contributed to the community. And this is modeled off of the I Am London campaign, which has been very successful. And I'm really, really excited to use this too, because we've seen a lot of cases where attitudes towards immigrants, one of the most like positive things you could do is actually, instead of like, going out and debunking myths, focus on highlighting positive stories and positive examples to act as both inspiration, but also as a way to show that that these people are improving the place that they come to.
Follow up?
Yeah, thanks, Warden. Thank you for that. I just certainly appreciate all of that. This really isn't a question. I mean, or maybe it is. Maybe it's for Joe. Like a lot of work has been done. I mean, I've had the privilege of being on council for a number of years, and I think back to maybe the initial conferences that I attended, and it was all about being a welcoming community and bringing newcomers to our communities. And it always seemed, that the county, or maybe just rural Ontario in general, was a difficult place to try to make attractive to newcomers. So certainly what you've shared is very encouraging. And I guess the other piece to that is it's being shared at the county level. Is this going to be disseminated down to the local municipalities in some form or fashion as well? Because obviously we're a partner in that as well.
Thank you. Through the warden to councillor. So that's a great point, that maybe we need to do a better job at sharing that information at the lower tier municipalities. What with this I Am Middlesex campaign, for sure, it is something that we will be working with your communication departments at each of your areas to ensure that the social media campaign is shared across Middlesex County as a whole. But your point of that, the perception of rural Ontario as being more difficult for newcomers and immigrants, I mean, some of the data that we just heard today is showing that maybe it's not as prevalent as what we think. So I think, we need to turn our head to how do we promote that it is a great place to live. Councillor Mayhew is advising that newcomers are coming to the Canada Day celebrations or other celebrations that are within your communities, which is great. So I think to the point of we need to highlight more of the positive pieces, and so I can definitely work with your areas to see how can we do that the best for your municipalities or townships.
Thank you. Councillor Smiber.
Thank you. Actually, the councillor took my question. But just to add on to that, because I think if there's a takeaway, if there's one thing that our communities can do to help make it more inclusive for people that are coming to our areas, we would definitely like to know that. Because I think sometimes we do try to engage, we do surveys, we're not getting information back. So if you can glean any kind of light on that, then I'd appreciate that. My question for Tristan is, with respect to the 512 newcomers, I'm assuming that that's a split between the county and the City of London. Do you know kind of what those numbers are?
If I had about 5 minutes to look it up, I would definitely do so. But I could send you an email to give you I could answer that question. I don't want to take up your guys' precious time
That's
sifting
okay.
through a
I can
PDF.
follow up with- Yeah, I can follow up with you separately. I was just wanting to know what the breakdown was on that. But thank you for the report.
Thank you. Other questions from council? No other questions from council? Tristan, thank you very much for the presentation. Much appreciated, and we look
Thank you
forward
very much
to
for
seeing you again.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a great meeting.
All right, thank you. We are looking for a motion to accept this report for information. Councillor Burkhart Jessen, Councillor Grantham, all in favor? That is carried. Action items. The first one was Middlesex County Economic Development. I got Kara and Paul on this. Paul, are you starting?
If that's okay.
Okay, yep.
Through you, Mr. Warden, Council has spent almost 2 years reviewing delivery options for economic development and identifying challenges dating back to the Middlesex County assessment composition. Decisions pertaining to the economic development model were delayed to facilitate some organizational transitions, and at this time we're reporting back on both those issues for Council consideration. And really we're recommending that we shift now from reviews to measurable outcomes. The recommendation provided within the report and after consultation with members of Council is to keep the service in-house as a department with direct Council oversight. It'll ensure stability and avoids any new administrative layers or complexity. The critical change that we're proposing within this report is really transitioning to an outcome-driven model. So clear, enhanced KPIs for every single aspect of what we do with economic development. Transparent reporting back to Council on those outcomes, including possibly some form of quarterly update even on confidential matters to keep Council in the loop, because really that's where a lot of the work is done. Working behind the scenes, and a direct link between the investment and improved economic conditions and indicators. So that would really focus on ensuring the resources are directed to community impact. When we look at this, Council has made the investment in the department through the budget process, and now our responsibility is to turn that into measurable results that strengthen Middlesex County as a whole and our local communities. I just turn it over to Kara to briefly touch on some of those operational matters, and then we're happy to field any questions you may have.
Thank you to our CAO and thank you to Council. The process of our plan forward is really process improvement and measurable outcomes, as has been discussed by our CAO. A new economic development strategy developed in-house with the input of our community, industry, and regional partners will guide our priorities beyond 2025 and will be developed in the current year. As part of the strategy development and ongoing, we will continue our work with our existing Economic Development Roundtable, consisting of all local municipalities. Further to this, an invitation to industry members and regional partners to consult and collaborate on specific initiatives will enhance roundtable collaboration. The Council approved enhanced staffing, Economic Development Officer and Marketing and Communications Officer, and this will provide the capacity to deliver community outcomes and allow us to meet our regional and local commitments to providing enhanced economic development services. Operationally, the department will be transitioning away from lease space, avoiding any additional cost. This keeps economic development operating effectively within county-based facilities and allows us to direct dollars to programs and results. Outcomes of our enhanced and focused service delivery model include stronger business development, retention, and expansion, clear alignment with the county's newly developed strategic plan, municipal and community partner priorities, as well as industry needs. Clear evidence of results through KPIs, allowing council to see the value that our team provides. The goal of this is optimization of resources to direct every available dollar toward impact in our communities, working together with our partners to provide the most robust economic service possible.
Thank you, Kara. Questions from council? Councilor McGuire.
Thank you, Warden. I'll just say I find the report encouraging. I like the idea that money is being used for the core purposes as identified by this council. And I've always been in favor of keeping it as an internal department. So overall, I find it encouraging and supportive.
Thank you, Councillor. Other questions, comments from council? Seeing none, we have a recommendation. I think that will be put on the screen. Moved by Councilor McGuire, seconder, Councilor Grantham. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Our next report is the Waterloo-based Phase 1 renovations, and Paul, you're going to do that report.
Dear Mr. Warden, yeah, the purpose of this report is twofold, is to review the history surrounding MLPS Waterloo Base, provide a closeout report with full financial details on Phase 1 renovations, and seek approval to move ahead on Phase 2. In the timeline of things, we're a little behind moving ahead on Phase 2. But we're excited to do that as Phase 2 focuses on 911 and the main floor system now that community paramedicine is in there. The report provides an overview of the history of this, how the county procured the property, and then constructed the lease contemplating $3 million in capital enhancements. Those were designed and included over 3 phases. The first phase focused on community paramedicine in the upstairs of the facility to get community paramedicine into the facility. The second phase focuses on the main floor and 911 responses. And Phase 3 focuses on facade and some safety enhancements to the exterior of the property. Once it's done, it was done over 3 phases to accommodate continued operation utilization of the space on a go-forward. Staff are happy to provide any additional information on this, but this is presented as our role as CMSM for land ambulance and landlord under this system. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, questions from council? Councilor Grantham.
Thank you, Warden. I think my questions will be answered. In the last paragraph, the last line, CAO mentions that in the upcoming 2026 budget, the facility-related expenses and revenues and all around that will be addressed. I will tell you, I'm skeptical about the benefit to the county. I certainly see the benefit to MLPS, but overall, the net benefit, I'd look at the monies spent, and I look at the opportunity cost of money and the dollars out of our taxpayers. So I'll wait. I'll look forward to the 2026, but I did actually have in mind to defer this item until after the budget, because for myself, I would want to, before I enter into the lease, to make sure we're being made whole. But I understand there's some urgency and a little bit, the horse is already out of the barn. But I just want to state, I still remain skeptical about the benefit to the county.
Through you, Mr. Warden, points well taken. Apologies if there's a lack of clarity in the report. Council actually entered into the lease in 2024, so that's already there. And that, just specifically to that, the financial model, the lease does contemplate the initial purchase price, the capital investment, and a comparable return on investment to what would happen if the funds were sitting in there. So wanted to provide that overview, but absolutely, I think as a team we recognize that we can better present the financial goings on of our facilities, specifically related to our role as landlord to Land Ambulance, and just generally in regards to our facilities. So we're happy and looking forward to including that in the budget for council review.
Yep.
Follow up?
Yeah, thank you, Warden. I guess that's one of my comments too, is it the county's role to be the landlord from MLPS, right? And that's a question moving forward about getting best use of county taxpayers' dollars.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Councilor McGuire?
Thank you. So I just want to follow up on some stuff that CAO Shipley has said to us in the past about bringing back reports so that we see them incrementally and we're allowed to do the governance that we're here to do. So I find seeing it in phase 1 and now contemplating phase 2 and knowing that phase 3 exists, we are able to do exactly what it is we're supposed to do. So I just want to say thank you for bringing it back in that format. I'm satisfied that phase 1 was done appropriately. That's what you've reported, and I do not doubt that at all, and look forward to examining the phase 2. So good work.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions on this report? No other questions? We have a recommendation that'll be coming up in front of us. We have a mover for that. Councillor Smybert and Councillor Clark. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have our correspondence and information items. So 9D1 to 9D5. Is there any one anybody wants to address any of those? Seeing none, looking for a motion to accept this for information. Councilor McGuire, Councilor McMillan, all in favor? Carried. Rise from the Committee of the Whole. Councilor McGuire, Councilor Clark, all in favor? Carried. And we need to go into closed session. I'm looking for a motion for that. And that is, we have the reasons coming up in front of us. Looking for a mover for that. Councilor Grantham, Councilor McMillan, sorry. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.